Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, happy Sunday. It is May 10th, 2026, 9:22 a.m. in the morning, U.S. Central Time, and it's Diego here for a live stream for you guys on your K1 Visa Green Card channel. I'm not an immigration attorney. I don't give you legal advice. I don't work for USIS. And my beautiful wife, Karina, is at work right now. She's working. It's Sunday and she's actively busy in her day job. So I thought I'd jump on here and do a live stream because I didn't do a live stream yesterday because we were really busy getting ready. We're getting ready for our vacation. Okay, we're getting ready to fly out of here and we're going to fly to Las Vegas, Nevada, whereupon we are not going to be staying in Las Vegas, Nevada for a long time. We're going to be traveling and using Las Vegas as a hub or a point where we can put our heads down on a pillow and then travel into other parts of the United States out west. We will obviously be making videos for you guys from our vacation so you can see what we've been doing. Now, we filed our 10-year green card. We filed it on May 7th. Here's the UPS shipment receipt from our 10-year green card, including our 751. And it is currently in the paperwork now, left Florida and is currently in Illinois. And then I'm sure Monday or Tuesday, the UPS drivers up in Illinois, who do a fantastic job, by the way, especially with the price of gasoline the way it is. And I did get hit with a gasoline surcharge of $18. So $18.48 was the gasoline surcharge, because the price of gas is actually totally horrendous right now. It's hard to believe that we have all this gas and oil in our own backyard and we're getting oil from Venezuela. And I don't understand why gasoline is so expensive, considering we've got the most oil and gas reserves in the freaking world. Just because the Straits of Hormuz are currently under a siege, it shouldn't even be affecting the United States at all. But there you go. It is what it is. So gas is what, $4.50 a gallon somewhere, $7-8 a gallon in California. Well, that's their fault. Gas is expensive in California because most of that freaking cost is taxes. The Californian government, the Governor Newsom and the governor and the California legislator just love taxing the living daylights out of the citizens of California, which is why people in California are leaving California and moving to Texas, Nevada, Tennessee, etc. Lots of big businesses have already closed, and the oil refinery, Chevron oil refinery, is already closed in California. They're out of there. They relocated to Texas. In-N-Out Burger headquarters is relocated to Tennessee, and big companies are leaving California, which is it's unfortunate for those folks that stay behind, but consequences of elections, right? If you vote Marxists into office, you're going to endure a political ideology of a Marxist, which means the economy is going to go down the toilet. Just look at communist Cuba, North Korea, for example. But anyway, I'm here to help you with your green card processing, your K1 visa processing, 2-year green cards, 10-year green cards. If you need any help, let me know. I'm here to help you. I've been running this YouTube channel for you guys, not for us. Karina would normally sit in, but she's at work right now, so obviously she's not sitting next to me. Normally she'd be sitting right over here, but she's doing her day job. Karina likes living in the United States. We filed for the 10-year green card a couple of days ago. We scheduled the 10-year green card paperwork to arrive as we arrive in Las Vegas. Then we'll give immigration a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, to open up the box and then take the money out of our checking account. We used Form G1650, and they will it's $750. And then when they take the money out of the checking account, maybe a week after that or 10 days after that, Karina will get a letter of extension on her 2-year green card. Now, her 2-year green card expires June 26th of next month. I believe it's June 26th next month. So she will get a 48-month extension, which means her 2-year green card will be extended out until June 26th, 2030. So 2030 is when her next adjudication will be Dubai. But by then, she'll have her 10-year green card, and we'll have a new government, probably a new Congress, a new president. By the time Karina's green card expires, there will be a new president in the White House. There will be a new Congress sitting in the hallowed halls of Washington, D.C. And hopefully the United States of America is still running as a capitalist country and has not turned into some kind of a Marxist socialist dictatorship, which could happen if the Congress goes into the hands of the Democrats, because most Democrats now, I would consider them as communists, not as Americans. That's just my opinion. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. The Republicans are weak. They haven't done anything really at all. They can't even balance a budget for our economy. They can't put a budget together. And so I've got no sympathy for the Republicans if they lose the House of Representatives. And I've got no sympathy for the Democrats if they lose the House of Representatives, because they are borderline tyrannical dictators. They act all kind that they're for the people and all this other jack. They're not for the people. The Democrats are all about power. They want power. They want to control you. But they do a good job with immigration in regards to processing green cards. They didn't do a good job in securing our borders. In fact, President Biden opened up the borders for everybody to come into this country without even being vetted properly, which has now created a massive job for Trump. President Trump now has to, find these people with Homeland Security and deport them. And millions of people have already been deported, and millions have self-deported. So our country's back on track to being secure. But now President Trump's going after green card holders, and with just minor infractions. So I don't understand what the point of that is, considering this country was created and built by legal immigration for the most part, right? In my opinion. We're going to fly here in a couple of days. I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow, Monday. Tomorrow's Monday, May 11th. I'll do a live stream. And then we will be off the air for about a week, because we are not going to be in Florida. We're going to be traveling. Okay, but we're going to be making videos for you guys. Karina has been, since she was a little girl living in Caracas, Venezuela, Karina has always wanted to visit these different parts of America. Now she's got this opportunity, and I'm going to make it happen. She's a hard worker. She's endured much. She left her country of Venezuela, relocated to Colombia in 2018. She met me in 2021. We dated for 3 years. And then I brought her to the United States. We got married on the beach here in Florida. She's been here over 2 years. She's learning English. She was inducted into the Honor Society in the local college. She got promoted at her job. She got an Employee of the Quarter award. She won some money for that. So she's doing good. And we basically, building our life together here in Florida. And all we're going to do now is wait for the 10-year green card to get adjudicated, which is going to probably take about 2 years. It could take a year and a half, 2 years before they even get to look at her I-751 application. And that's fine, because she has a 4-year letter of extension. If we get closer and closer to the 4-year extension letter expiring, then that's when I will be contacting the USCIS office in New Orleans or Montgomery, Alabama, probably New Orleans, and say, look, we haven't heard from you guys. What's going on? Get us a status update, and then go from there. And there's always, there's always the pathway of filing a lawsuit against USCIS. But I don't think that's going to be necessary, considering all the evidence that we included in Karina's K-1 visa application. We overwhelmed immigration with evidence of our relationship. We're not worried about that. We're just basically sick and tired of USCIS being given, extra work to do when it's not necessary. Busy work. They got enough to do without being inundated with busy work, but that's what happens, consequences of elections. President Trump wants a stricter green card immigration process. Okay, fine, fair enough. He's the president. He can make that happen. And then what's going to happen is the people are going to get sick and tired or being abused and kicked around. American citizens, bring people to this country because they want to marry them. And the other thing is the H-1B1 visas, like the work permits. You got doctors and highly skilled people who are being blocked from getting their freaking green cards. But I think Trump finally figured out that was kind of stupid. So I think he's overturned that. Like my dentist, Dr. Norberto, is from Venezuela. He relocated to Colombia, and I met him. He was my dentist in Colombia, and now he just got approved, and now for an H-1B1 green card, which I explained to him how to do. When I was getting my teeth looked at in Colombia, he basically fixed my whole freaking mouth, and he's a great dentist. He listened to me. So in between my dentist visits to see my dentist, I explained to him the H-1B1 visa process. I explained to him what he could do if he wanted to live in America. So this guy's Venezuelan who was living in Colombia, who is now living in Michigan with an H-1B1 green card. So he followed my advice, and I didn't do any paperwork for him. And then Karina told me yesterday that he's now living in Michigan as a dentist in Michigan. So green cards are getting approved. Okay, it's just taking a long time. Copperhead, $7.99. Morning, Diego. Morning, Copperhead. I sent the paper write-up withdrawal on May 8th via USPS, $2, and sent the same withdrawal letter to the email at the U.S. Embassy in Manila. I received an auto reply. Can I forward you that? Yeah, go ahead. You're a member of this channel. You can forward me anything you want, and I will definitely review that for you. Remember, the U.S. Embassy in Manila is very busy, so they sent you an automatic reply. Doesn't mean that they're ignoring you. It just means they're acknowledging that you sent them an email withdrawing your K-1 visa for that individual that tried to rip you off for $5,000. I mean, how egregious is it that you would be spending all this money on plane tickets to go to the Philippines? You dated this lady for a long time. You got your K-1 visa approved. The NVC approved it. They sent it to Manila in the Philippines, and then she hits you up for a $5,000. Egregious, horrible, disrespectful, and basically she's just using you, man. For what would she try and take her from you if you got her to America, got married to her? What would happen then? It won't be just $5,000 she's trying to fleece out of your wallet. It's going to be half your house, alimony, this and this and that. You lost the money for the green card application, for the K-1 visa application. You lost the $600 and some, okay, for the K-1 visa. But if you look at it long term, you didn't actually initiate the K-1 visa. You withdrew it, so you're still entitled to 2 more. You got 2 more. You can still use your K-1 visa application for somebody else. I'm sure you will meet somebody much nicer than that individual that tried to rip you off for $5,000. And you listen to my advice, you follow my opinion, and you're on the right track. You've withdrawn the paperwork. You make sure you don't contact that lady anymore. Make sure you kick her off your Facebook, your Instagram, block her everywhere. Don't contact her anymore. It's done. You've done your due diligence. She exposed herself as a freaking fraud right there towards the end. Lucky for you that she did it when she was in the Philippines and not in the United States. And you did good. And you got it in the mail, and you also sent it via email. Make sure you make copies of those letters where you withdraw your K-1 visa application. Remember, it went from the NVC to the U.S. Embassy in Manila, so the NVC is no longer going to help you, okay? And you can also send a copy to the service center in whoever adjudicated your K-1 visa and approved it. Send that withdrawal letter to that service center with a copy of your NOA-2 letter, and then that way, when the U.S. Embassy send your K-1 visa application back to that service center, they will know exactly what's going on. All right, you got me? So the service center will put it in the computer. They'll put it into your account that you withdrew your application. So then the U.S. Embassy in Manila is going to send all that paperwork back to them, whereupon they're just going to scan whatever and shred whatever they don't need. And then you're done. And then you can get back to looking for another beautiful woman who you can spend the rest of your life with. It's not the end of the world. It's not. And you saved yourself from a big problem. Okay? Because remember, if you'd have signed that form 864, if you signed the affidavit of support when she got here, you would be obligated to help her financially for 10 years or until she has 10 years worth of work credit with Social Security. Okay? But she's not going to be able to leave the country without you. Basically, I mean, let's suppose she goes to the K-1 visa interview. Let's suppose she continues to process and goes to the K-1 visa interview. Immigration Embassy in Manila is already going to have your letter of withdrawal. And they're going to tell her, hey, the sponsor's already withdrawn the application. So, go home. And then if she tries to meet another American in the future, she looks for another American so she can try to put her hand into his wallet. Then what's going to happen is they're going to have a record at the embassy in Manila. So, you saved yourself a big headache. If I was you, I would start looking for somebody else. Don't be a victim, be a victor. Start looking for somebody else. And you can do it. I mean, you don't even have to pick the Philippines. I mean, you could pick choose somebody in South America. It's a lot closer to the United States, right? A flight to the Philippines is what, 24 hours? A flight to Colombia or Ecuador or Chile or Panama, Peru, it's like 5-6 hour flight from the United States. It's much closer. And it'd be a lot easier to date somebody who's a lot closer, and you can build a longer, more real, lasting relationship. Like I was with Karina for 3 years. We dated for 3 years. I was pretty much living in Colombia. The Colombian government gave me a cedula, a 1-year visa to live in Colombia for a year, and I lived there. I stayed there for 10 months. I had to come back to the United States and pay, the taxes and pay the property taxes, etc. And then Karina came to the United States. We dated. We first started communicating with each other in May of 2021. So what's that, 5 years this month, right? So we communicated with each other for 6 months in WhatsApp. And after we got done with, we first met each other on Colombian Cupid. Even though she's Venezuelan, she was in Colombian Cupid, but she never used the account. She never used it. She was too busy. Her life was going to work and coming home. She was working 6 days a week in Bogota, Colombia, running 5 ice cream stores. So she didn't have time for this Colombian Cupid stuff. But I sent her an email in Colombian Cupid in May of 2021. So, hey, nice to meet you. You seem like a very nice person, very conservative. You dress nicely. You're not trying to, wear skimpy clothes. You're wearing conservative clothes, etc. You look nice. You got a nice profile, but you haven't been active on your account for a long time. Maybe you could, respond back to my email. And she did. I guess it popped up on her cell phone, and she responded to me. And then we only chatted on Colombian Cupid for about a week, if that, 5 days. It was very small time because then we swapped phone numbers. I don't like this Colombian Cupid communication. I just checked it out, and it worked out fine for me. So we swapped phone numbers, and we were talking in WhatsApp most of the time. And then I was screenshotting the WhatsApp phone calls, and I kept, we built up a 4 album evidence for her K-1 visa. After such a long time, we were dating each other. Over a year, we were dating, about a year. And then I just filed the K-1 visa after a year. We had an engagement party in Bogota, Colombia on Christmas Eve of 2021. Or 2021. So, everything worked out. We've been together for 5 years, over 5 years. Been happily married for over 2 years. Now we're just waiting on her 10-year green card. So you guys can do the same thing. Maybe go into on vacation somewhere. Go take a trip to Europe. Go to Sweden for vacation. Spend 2 or 3 weeks in Sweden. You might find somebody nice in Sweden. And most Europeans can speak English anyway, so the communication is going to be a lot easier. Lucky for me, I can speak Spanish. But, I spent 3 years in Colombia, and I loved it, actually, living there. I really enjoyed living. I just didn't like the weather. And the Bogota, the weather sucks. So we would try to, take vacations as much as we could. We went to Cucuta, Colombia, which is on the border of Venezuela. We went to Cartagena, Colombia. We went to Chauchi, Colombia. We were in Bucaramanga, Colombia. We went all over the freaking place. I just wish I was able to get south, close to the border with Ecuador, but I was a little leery of earthquakes. They were having a bunch of earthquakes at the time when we were there. In fact, when I came back to the United States after being with Karina for about 10 months, I flew back to the United States. When I got back here, they had an earthquake in Bogota, Colombia. Our apartment was cracks in the wall. Pictures were falling off the wall. I'm like, crazy. I mean, crazy, right? And then let me see, it was about 6 months after that, I was able to bring Karina to Florida, and we were able to get married. So I wasn't worried. I mean, that was a pretty intense earthquake that they had in Bogota, Colombia. I mean, the buildings were shaking, and our apartment got cracks in the walls. So when I flew back to Colombia, and I was doing maintenance on the walls. I was fixing the walls. I had to get plaster Paris. Actually, Karina got it, and I did the maintenance. And then I came back to the United States, and then Karina repainted the whole apartment. She did it by herself. I sent her money for the paint, and she went and bought the paint and repainted the entire apartment. And thankfully, about 6 months later, we were able to get her K1 visa. We got married, and now we're just waiting for immigration to open up a box of stuff for her 10-year green card. The time goes by pretty quick. So, Copperhead, if you're still, don't be a victim over this lady from the Philippines. There are millions of single females out there who have got hearts of gold, who are not interested in what's in your bank account, who are good people, who are looking for love. Okay? Try to understand what is in the mindset of a woman. She's basically looking for love. She's looking for security, obviously, but mainly she wants to be loved by the guy, right? So if you meet somebody and you fall in love, you treat her right, everything's going to fall into place, and it's going to be a real relationship, and it's going to work out. Everything always works out. I've been through a lot of stuff with immigration over the years. I mean, I've been processing green cards and K1 visas for 13 years. And I've been through a lot of stuff with immigration, and I know the process like the back of my hand. So I didn't need an immigration attorney to process any paperwork, and we got everything done. And now we're just waiting on this next round. But I was able to help people get reunited with families, which is the whole purpose of this channel. I can help you guys with any questions. If you're confused about anything, most people mess up on the family size when they're filling out the 864. When they apply to lift the conditions off of their 2-year, when they apply for the 2-year green card, when they go to adjust status for the 2-year green card, American citizens get a little confused on how to calculate the family size on the 864. I can unconfuse you. I can help you how to figure it out so you don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake on Form 864, the affidavit of support, your 2-year green card application is going to be denied. Straight up. Immigration is not going to spend time sending you an RFE. They're going to say, well, if you can't figure out your family size, if you don't know how to fill out paperwork, then we're just going to deny your case. So you don't want that to happen, right? Let's talk about folks out there watching this channel all around the world, and they've got a tourist visa to enter America. Now, a tourist visa is good for 10 years in their passport. I don't care what country you're from. It doesn't matter what country. If you have a tourist visa, you can come and visit the United States for up to 10 years. Not, you can't stay here for 10 years, but you can travel back and forth for 10 years. If you have a tourist visa, and you meet an American citizen, don't marry him in America on a tourist visa. A tourist visa is used for tourism. If you meet an American on a tourist visa, okay, and you start dating each other, you have the tourist visa, you can fly back and forth to America. There's no reason to get married to him or her here on a tourist visa. If you fall in love and you want to marry each other, rock and roll, go for it, but process the K1 visa. Go back to your home country, have your American citizen sponsor file a K1 visa application for you. What is happening to people who get married on a tourist visa and they overstay their visa? They come to America, they get married to an American, they file for the 2-year green card, and they just stay here. What's happening to those people? Well, when they go to their 2-year green card interview, which eventually is going to happen, their tourist visa has expired. Their time has expired. So they go through the procedure at the interview, and then right at the end, the immigration officer is going to say, did you come to the United States? How did you get here? Oh, I came in on a tourist visa. Is it expired? Yeah, my tourist visa expired. But my immigration attorney said it's no problem as long as I file for the 2-year green card. Big mistake. That person is going to be put into a detention and is going to be placed into a removal proceedings. If you overstay your tourist visa in America because you married an American, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Just trust me on that. It's going to happen. Cop ahead. If I was to pursue the South American countries, which is the best, because aren't some blocked? Listen, man. President Trump told the State Department to block people from Colombia from getting spousal visas, not K1 visas. Okay? President Trump, in my opinion, is just trying to stop legal immigration from every country on the planet. But he's starting with these countries in South America, just one actually. Venezuela is not on that list of blocked countries. If you are a Venezuelan living in Colombia, okay, then you can go through the K1 visa process. You can go through the spousal visa process without too many problems. It's just going to be extra vetting, that's all. So only Colombia, I believe, and Brazil, I believe, they're the only 2 countries. Colombia and Brazil are the only 2 countries that are blocked from issuing green cards at an interview from a family-based I-130. So if you are married to a Brazilian, you fly to Brazil, you meet somebody, you date each other for a year or 2 years, and then you marry the person in Brazil. As of now, it's going to be hard to get that person a green card. You'd have to file a lawsuit against the State Department. Okay? But it's Brazil and Colombia. But remember, you don't want to just fly down to South America and meet somebody and then start looking at getting married. You want to meet somebody and then date them for at least a year or a year and a half. You want to get into a relationship with them, collecting your evidence, etc., your plane tickets, your boarding passes, your hotel receipts, dinner dates, keep all that stuff. And build a relationship over the next year and a half. Okay? And then you can file the K1 again if you meet somebody. Doesn't matter what country in South America, it's irrelevant. Okay? K1s have not been blocked. Those 75 countries that are under a immigration block are for people who file family-based green card applications who are married to foreign nationals, right? Who married them in the foreign country. Okay? Or are trying to bring mom over or dad over or their brothers and sisters on a form I-130. Immediate family members. That's where the issue is. But it's going through the courts. It's getting sued. Trump's being sued. His State Department's being sued by hundreds of people who are American citizens who are saying, hey, Time out. What the heck are you doing? The Congress of the United States put in place a process under the Immigration and Nationality Act. We're not violating any laws. We're not doing anything wrong. We're following the law. So how can you block us? And what's going to happen is, the people that file the lawsuits, they're going to win their case in court. So don't even worry about it. And by the time, you get to the point where you meet somebody, you're going to date somebody for a long time, and you're going to marry somebody, Trump's going to be out of office in 2029. His time is going by fast. There's going to be a new president. Okay, and the way the Republicans are going right now, the way they keep attacking American citizens' families, I'm an American citizen, and they want to, if they want to jack around with my Venezuelan family, my Venezuelan family support conservative values. They are glad that the United States military removed Maduro from Venezuela. They're happy he's in jail in New York. Most Venezuelans, I would say 80 to 90% of Venezuelans, are pro-American, pro-capitalist. Venezuela used to be the richest country in South America because of the oil and gas. But the communists came in and destroyed their economy. That's why Karina, my wife from Venezuela, moved to Colombia, because Colombia had a conservative president. President Duque was a conservative. He ran the country like Reagan ran the United States, President Reagan. Okay? So don't focus on which countries are blocked, because by the time you meet somebody, by the time you build up a relationship and you want to marry somebody, Trump's going to be out of office pretty soon. 2029 is going to be here. Karina's going to get a letter of extension on her 2-year green card until June of 2030. President Trump's not going to be in office in 2030. It's going to be a new president. And the way things are going, it's probably going to be a Democrat. Because the Republican Party is, for the most part, their ideology is good when it comes to businesses and economy and running a business. But when it comes to immigration, I don't see them being pro-immigration at all. So it's going to cost them the House of Representatives in November. So in January of 2027, we're going to have a new Congress, and I got a feeling it's going to be Democrats running the show. So, my recommendation would be fly down to Panama, go to Colombia. I found that the Colombians and the Venezuelans, those people are the kindest, loving, most agreeable people that I've ever met. Colombians are just so nice. Venezuelans are so nice. And when my dad was in the Navy back in the 70s, he pulled into Caracas, Venezuela, back when Venezuela was a free country. It's getting freer now, but back before the communists came in. And my dad told me the Venezuelan people were his most favorite people that he's ever met in his worldly travels in the Navy. My dad went around the world for like 5 times in the Navy. He spent 20 years, and he spent a lot of time in Venezuela. And he said those folks were the nicest. And when I met Karina in Colombia, at first I started chatting with her in Colombian Cupid for about 2 or 3 days, and then I really didn't read her nationality. I just thought she was Colombian, which is no problem. I flew to Colombia to meet her in August of 2021, and she said, "I'm Venezuelan." Okay, great. How cool. You're from Venezuela. Why are you living in Colombia? Well, I don't want to live in a dictatorship, she said, where economy sucks. I said, I can understand that. So, I would go to South America. I would go down to Colombia. I'd fly to Bogota. Why don't you set up an account, start off on Colombian Cupid? Avoid Thailand. My dad is married to a lady from Thailand. They're nice people too. But it's such a long way to travel, man. Flying to Thailand is 24 hours on a plane. Flying to the Philippines, 24 hours on a plane. They're beautiful people for the most part. You found one bad apple, but don't let that one bad apple, mess up your entire future of dating. Don't do it. but it's much. My opinion is it's such a long way to travel. Okay, I would find somebody if you want a foreign national as a wife. Venezuelans, Colombians. That would be my two countries of choice. I've not really interacted with people from Ecuador. I've got friends from Peru. Karina has female friends here from Peru. She's just really nice also. Maybe Peru would would be a great idea. But in my opinion, for me, I can jump on a plane from Pensacola to Bogota, Colombia in about 5 or 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on layovers. And then when I found out Karina was from Venezuela, that was a double win for me. Number one, I found Venezuelans to be the nicest people on the planet in regards to caring about people, thinking about others before themselves, not always being me, me, me. Okay, Venezuelans are all about they're primarily a Catholic country, and they're very I'm not Catholic, I'm Baptist, but Karina is the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Brownie RSPS. Oh, whoa, early Diego stream. Yeah, I jumped on here. I didn't do a live stream yesterday. We just got too busy yesterday. So I'm making up for it today. Today's what? Sunday, May 10th, 2026, almost 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Time. So I'm on here to answer your questions. Copperhead, pursuing Spanish language learning would get me ahead as well. Yeah. The way I started out learning Spanish was I got Duolingo on my phone, an application. I put it on my phone. Duolingo. That's how I started. Okay. But I outgrew that application, but it was where I started. Then I basically lived in Colombia for 3 years. I lived there full time. And that's how I learned Spanish, by living in the country. But, I'm not saying you should move to South America, but, let's see here. Learn Spanish, Copperhead. My advice to you is to look for somebody in South America, Venezuelans, Colombians, Peru, and start learning Spanish. That's my opinion. Brownie RSPS, the wife's car was destroyed by softball-sized hail over a week ago. It was horrendous. I can imagine. That must suck. We're finalizing a new vehicle purchase from a dealership. We'll both put our names on the title for evidence. Yes, you both buy a car together. Use that in your 10-year green card application. Buying a car together is strong. If you don't, I didn't buy a car with Karina because I already had a car, but I put her name on the title to the car. So if something happens to me, she still has ownership of the vehicle, legal ownership of the car. So you don't have to buy a car together. I'm talking about everybody watching this live stream or this video in the future. But if you do buy a car together, make sure that the paperwork is in both your names. The title is going to be in both your names. And if you're making car payments, you're not going to get the title, but you're going to fill out paperwork for the sale. The bill of sale is going to be in both names. Keep that bill of sale. Use it for the 10-year green card application. Very good idea, Brownie. And you're moving to Tennessee, right? Isn't that where you're going to head out to, Tennessee? Copperhead, does the South American countries have a quick temper? Not the people I met. Maybe in movies. If you watched a lot of movies from, I don't know, people from South America watching movies, maybe that's where you got that idea. But my wife, Karina, she is calm as a cucumber. Nothing bothers her. She is laid back. She's relaxed. She never gets angry. I've never once seen her angry. Never one time. Never one time. When I was living in Colombia for 3 years, the people I interacted with, mainly Karina's friends who are female, calm, relaxed, very friendly, nice, always would do anything for anybody. Good people. I can't say anything bad about people from Latin America because they're good people. Uh, Brownie RSPS, yes, sir. We're moving to Tennessee. Very good. I'm looking forward to paying zero state income tax. It's also very good to see you. Well, we're here. Karina's at work right now. Karina is at work. She was supposed to work this other day, but that's the day we're flying to Las Vegas. So they switched her day from the day we fly into Las Vegas to today. So she gets her hours in. So next week we won't be doing a live stream. We're going to be out of the state of Florida. We're not leaving the country, by the way. If you have a 2-year green card, I don't recommend you leave the country on a 2-year green card internationally. My recommendation is don't leave the country at all until you become a U.S. citizen. Just my opinion. You can become a U.S. citizen after 3 years married to you. You're a foreign national. You come to America. You get married to a U.S. citizen. 3 years from the issue date of your 2-year green card. So look at your 2-year green card. Look at the issue date. Add 36 months to that issue date. That's when you're eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. Become an American citizen, then travel back home to where you started. When Karina becomes an American citizen, okay, I've got no doubt we're going to be going to Colombia to see her family. Hopefully we can go to Venezuela. It all depends on the political climate there and how things are moving along for that country. And Brownie says, have a great vacation, safe travels. We're going to be flying on an airplane, but it's not going to be Avianca. Okay, we're going to be flying on American, and we got a couple of layovers. I got so used to making sure we have long layovers. You know, when we flew from Bogota, Colombia to Miami, I rented a SUV to drive home. I didn't have a layover for a second plane because I didn't know how long it's going to take to check in with immigration in Miami with the Border Patrol. I didn't know how long it's going to take. 10 minutes, 2 hours. We didn't know. So we flew from Bogota to Colombia. We flew from Bogota, Colombia to Miami, Florida on an Avianca 747, just like this one. Got off the plane, got into the U.S. citizenship line. Even though Corinne is a Venezuelan with a Venezuelan passport, she was with me. We went to the U.S. citizenship line. We checked in with the Border Patrol. They looked at my passport, and the Border Patrol said, hey, welcome back to America. There you go. I said, well, thanks, man. I've been in Colombia a long time. Yeah, he says, I know. I can see that. He said, glad you have you back. I said, I'm glad to be back. And then he talked to Karina in Spanish. He spoke fluent Spanish and said, welcome to America. Glad to have you here. You have a K-1 visa in your passport. Let me call and get you scheduled for your K-1 visa check-in. And she said, okay, thanks. And another immigration officer came over to us, and we walked into this like a secret squirrel office. And then we walked in these doors. It was like, when you see it's like going into the TARDIS in Doctor Who, right? Have you ever seen that TV show, Doctor Who, British show? And the TARDIS is a little small phone box, and you walk through the door, and then you're inside this massive space. That's what it was like. We saw this little door thing, we went through it, and then we're in this massive space. Karina checked in with immigration, the Border Patrol. They gave her an I-94 number, welcomed her to the America, wished her well. And then we picked up our suitcase that was still left outside by itself. And then we walked to the rental car place and jumped in a Jeep Cherokee, and we drove from Miami to here. Took 12 and a half hours. And Brownie RSPS, I love Doctor Who. I love to watch Doctor Who on YouTube. I like John Pertwee when he played Doctor Who. John Pertwee with the big scarf, was a scarf around his neck. Those were the Doctor Who, and those were the shows I used to watch. When I was in the Navy at sea or whatever, it was great. But Karina made it through the immigration process in Miami. Then we got home, and the first thing we did was scheduled her medical exam, and then we got the medical exam scheduled for her. Listen up, if you're coming to America on a K-1 visa, K-2 visa, you must repeat the medical exam with a civil surgeon authorized by the State Department to give medical exams for green cards. You must repeat the medical exam, recertify your vaccinations. It is mandatory. If you do not do that, your 2-year green card will be rejected. You won't get it. You got to repeat the medical. And so we got her Karina's medical exam scheduled. Then we went to the Social Security office. We applied for her Social Security number. When the Social Security number came in the mail, we went to the bank, put her on the bank account. I think that was like by February of 2024. She was a joint bank account holder. Then we started getting bank statements coming in. I applied for her credit card. She got a credit card. And then I got her teaching her how to drive a car. And remember, my beautiful wife, Karina, had never driven a car in her life. When she lived in Caracas, Venezuela, everything was by the metro or by the bus. When she lived in Colombia, in Bogota, she didn't need a car. All she needed was the Transmillennial. So I taught her how to drive. It took me about 7 months to teach her how to drive. And luckily, the local churches here were very nice and let us use the church parking lots to practice driving in. So if you are bringing somebody to this country and they don't know how to drive, your local church or mosque perhaps, or synagogue, I don't know, use their parking lots to get them started in driving. It's private property and you're not going to get in trouble with the sheriff. And my friend owns a bunch of land, so we drove up on his land also. So after 7 months, we got Karina her Florida driver's license. And now we're just waiting on her 10-year green card to get adjudicated. And that's going to take about 1.5 years, 2 years. So her 10-year green card paperwork is already sitting in Illinois. It's going to be shipped out Monday or Tuesday to immigration. And then I give them a couple of days to open it up and then process it, and we're good. Brownie, David Tennant is my favorite, absolutely amazing actor. Now, I didn't see David Tennant as an actor with Doctor Who. I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who with David Tennant, so I'll check it out on YouTube. But I was used to watching John Pertwee, and when Doctor Who, Day of the Daleks. We will exterminate you. I think the Daleks was like the prerequisite for Star Wars. I don't know, but yeah, Doctor Who is a great TV show. So now I'm going to have to investigate David Tennant. Okay, guys, let me see. How long have I been talking for? I don't even know. Another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you have questions, guys, on how to process green cards, I know how to do this. I can process your K1 visa for you. I can do the paperwork for you. Or if you want to fill out the paperwork, you can screenshot it to my cell phone or email it to me. I can review it for you. But the only way that I can give you my phone number and email address is if you join as a member. Down there somewhere, there's like a join button. If you want to join as a member, it's cheaper than an immigration attorney. And if you don't want to join as a member, that's fine too. But we appreciate your support. I mean, really. I'm retired 3 times. Karina's the breadwinner. She's out making money, and I'm doing YouTube live streams for you guys. Brownie RSPS, can you give me the phone numbers for me and my wife notifying USCIS of the move? It's AR11 is one of them. There's 2 of them. There's AR11. Okay. You can do it online. Go online, and then also go to this website. Go here, USCIS.gov/forms. Go to USCIS.gov/forms and look for AR11. Look for AR11. Fill it out, and then also do it online. Send it twice, online and on paper, and then make copies of it. And then your wife has to fill out a change of address form also. So go into USCIS forms, or go Google change of address right here. Change of address for U.S. citizen with USCIS. Google change of address for U.S. citizen with USCIS, and it'll give you I can't remember off the top of my head the form number. Greg Santos. Hi, Diego. How are you? Have a nice weekend. I'm good. That's it. I-865. It's I-865. That's exactly right. Plus AR11 for you. So the American citizen sponsor is going to fill out form I-865, and the beneficiary, in your case, it will be form AR11. Fill out those two forms. Make copies of those two forms. Send them by certified. Send them by one of them you can do online. The other one you can send like via FedEx or UPS. And I know it's more expensive using FedEx or UPS, or DHL, but you got to make sure the paperwork gets to freaking immigration with no excuses, and then you're going to have it tracked. Right? So there you go. I just saved you a big headache, because if you don't notify immigration if you move, if you move somewhere, let's suppose your American citizen sponsor, he or she gets a new job and moves to a different state, and you're like apart from each other for about 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, as you get, as you relocate from this city to this city, immigration is not going to give you a hard time because you've been separated for about a month because you moved because of a job. But you must prove the new job, but you must notify immigration of the new address. Brownie RSPS, I don't trust U.S. Postal Service as far as I could throw them. I mean, I had to file an investigation 2 years ago plus trying to find Karina's social security card. I got informed delivery. Informed delivery said they delivered Karina's social security card, but it wasn't in the mailbox. I'm like, where is it? I had to go to the head office downtown and file an investigation. And then the next day it showed up. Surprise, surprise, right? Brownie RSPS, yeah, the recent reform not only made it worse. Well, the biggest, the most stupidest financial decision the U.S. Postal Service made was to try to ride around in electric cars. Excuse me, I got allergies. In electric cars. How in the hell are you going to deliver mail in an electric car in Chicago in the middle of winter when the power is out because of a snowstorm? You need a gasoline-powered engine, right? You got to have gas in your engine for the power. Now, I'm not bashing electric cars. If you want to buy an electric car, then you should be able to buy one. But you should also be able to buy a gas-powered car. So, if the power goes down in your city because of a hurricane, let's suppose then you get hit with a hurricane in Florida, South Florida somewhere, and you lose power for 2 weeks. How the heck are you going to charge your electric freaking car? You're not going to be able to do it. So, I don't want you not to look at an electric car as a secondary option for transportation, but you should also be able to buy a gasoline-powered car too. So, I'm laughing at California. The governor of California banned the sale of electric cars, he banned the sale of gasoline-powered cars, starting, I think, in 2030. The man is off of his freaking rocker. Now they're complaining that gas is $8 a gallon. Why are Californians complaining that gas is $8 a gallon when they don't like gasoline-powered vehicles? They banned the use of gasoline-powered lawn leaf blowers, edgers, anything gasoline-powered used by landscapers in California are banned. So what happens if California has a big earthquake and they lose power for 2 weeks? How in the heck are they going to freaking charge their lawnmowers, leaf blowers, weed whackers, cars? If it's mandatory that you only can buy electric cars in California, new ones, and they lose power because of an earthquake, then people are going to be up the freaking creek without a paddle, right? It's stupid, right? Now, if you are in California and you want to buy an electric car, go buy an electric car. Knock yourself out. It's a capitalist country. Free market economy. But if you want a gasoline-powered car, you should be able to buy one. Right? You shouldn't have some communist governor telling an American citizen living in California, you can't buy a brand new gasoline-powered Mercedes or a Ford or a Chevrolet or a Ferrari. You can't. It doesn't work. Our country doesn't work that way. Brownie RSPS, 100% agreed. We just bought a 2025 Hyundai. Very nice. Okay. Hyundai. They're made, I think they're from South Korea. I think they built them in South Korea. It's a good car. But it's keeps its value, holds its value, and it's got good fuel economy. So you did a good choice on that. You know. My favorite car in the whole world is a Mercury Marquis, but they don't make them anymore. Okay, I've had quite a few Mercury Marquis. They're good cars, not because they're big cars, but their engine is basically indestructible. You can drive a Grand Marquis for 1,000,000 miles as long as you maintain it, maintain the oil changes, and maintain the engine like you're supposed to. It'll last forever. Brownie RSPS, 35 miles per gallon for hours on the highway. Pretty eco-friendly. That's good. Yeah, that's good gas mileage. Yeah. So, but you have a choice. You can buy a gasoline-powered Hyundai, or you can buy a hybrid, or you can buy an electric one. You have a choice. But California seems to think that you cannot have a choice. You're going to buy an electric car whether you like it or not. And now they're crying like little babies over the price of gasoline. Why is the price of gasoline $8 a gallon in California? Well, because number one, there's this stuff, they import all their frickin' oil from the Middle East. They don't want to get their oil from the United States. They want to import it from the Middle East. Why don't they bring oil into California from Texas or from New Mexico? Because trucks over a certain age are not allowed to enter California. If you got a truck, like an oil tanker truck that delivers gasoline, and it's like 10 years old, I think, it's not permitted into California at the weigh station. They say, no, your car, the people running the government of California are absolutely insane. So gas is $8 a gallon, and who do they blame? Well, they're going to blame Trump, right? President Trump's at fault, but he's not. Really, he's not. He's responsible for price of gasoline at $4 a gallon, $4.50 a gallon, but he's not responsible for California gas prices. They created that problem themselves because they've elected absolute idiots into their legislature. That's just the way it is. I just look at the evidence. Brownie RSPS, the cost of living there in California is horrendous too. Everything is ridiculously inflated. Look at the price of homes. Now, I was a real estate agent for 5 years. Look at the price of homes in California. $1 million for a little shack on a side street. I mean, California needs a new governor. It needs a new legislature. Now, I'm not saying it needs Republicans in running the show. I'm saying it needs Americans in there who understand free market capitalism. So that way the price of rent comes down. How much does it cost to rent an apartment in Los Angeles? $3,000 a month? Same in New York City. When in fact, in reality, it should be $400, $500 a month. If the rent for an apartment, a little small apartment in LA, was $500 a month, you wouldn't have the homeless problem that they have. Right? Just my opinion. But why is it $3,000, $2,000 a month to rent an apartment in Los Angeles? Because the government, their intrusiveness, their economic policies. That's why. Okay, guys, I've been talking for, I don't know, an hour. So I'll be back on Monday. Today's Sunday. I'll be back Monday, 6 p.m. But if I'm not here tomorrow at 6 p.m., it's because we are packing our suitcases, getting ready for our vacation. But maybe we'll do that today. A 3-bedroom is $4,300 a month. There's no way. I remember back in the 60s and the 70s. I remember the 70s. California was the go-to place. Hollywood, Venice Beach, Santa Monica Pier. California was the place to go for great weather, nice ladies, pretty ladies, good music. Now, California is the place to escape from because it's a communist dictatorship. And that's just my opinion, but I look at the way they're running the state. California isn't the problem. It's the government that's running it. That's the problem. It needs to be changed. See you at the next live stream, guys. Thanks for listening.